have team coverage today. All hands on deck in the News 5 newsroom. One of the questions we're asking is, whose plane is it and what kind of plane is it? Now, when we talked to the Carter County Sheriff's Office, we couldn't get an exact description of the plane, but they said it was a small to medium plane. But we do have an expert and a licensed pilot on staff here. News 5 meteorologist Ricky Matthews has more information about the type of aircraft this is. He's there at the track right now to cover the race. But Ricky, can you give us some perspective on the aircraft itself?
Julie, I want to talk a little bit about the aircraft that Dale Jr. was on this afternoon. It is a Cessna Citation Latitude, which is a business jet designed by the Cessna Aircraft Corporation. They make a lot of different aircrafts, from props to jets, and its primary purpose is to carry people just like Dale Jr. and other businessmen and women across the United States to complete whatever they need to do. Now, the registration number on that was N8JR. JR for Junior Motorsports. There were 5 people on board at the time, according to the FAA. The aircraft has a range of about 2,700 miles, and with the flight likely coming from North Carolina, certainly that range was not a factor in this incident. Now, it has a crew of 2. About 9 people can fit on board the aircraft. I want to read you a statement that came earlier from the FAA, and it says, quote, "A Cessna Citation rolled off the runway of 24 and caught fire after landing at Elizabeth Municipal Airport in Tennessee at approximately 3:40 p.m. today. Preliminary indications are that 2 pilots and 3 passengers were on board, those 3 passengers being Dale Earnhardt, his wife Amy, and their daughter. The FAA says that local officials will release their names and conditions, but we've already confirmed that through other sources. The aircraft registration, as I mentioned earlier, N8JR, registered to Junior Motorsports. The FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board will both investigate this incident to not only figure out the cause, but to figure out if it was something mechanical, how they can apply that to the aircraft that are currently out there in the fleet of Cessna aircraft to perhaps prevent a crash like this from occurring in the future if it was mechanical in nature. An update that came in from at 4:40 p.m. said that 5 people were on board, 2 pilots, 3 passengers, and the FAA advised us to check with local officials for any of those injuries, which we've been reporting otherwise through other sources. So once again, a Cessna Citation Latitude. It carries up to 9 people. Only 3 passengers were on board and 2 crew when the aircraft crashed in Elizabethton. Now, the Elizabethton Airport, it's a pretty small airport. It's one of many multi-use airports in our area. It's an uncontrolled airport, which means there's no communications tower at the airport. You don't have to have clearance to land or take off. And runway 24 is, if the town of Elizabethton is closest to where the terminal is, it's the runway that is furthest away from Elizabethton. So you're coming in from the mountainside, you're coming in as you're coming in from North Carolina, and you're landing on runway 24 there. And most indications are that the aircraft actually skidded off the end of the runway, and that's after it burst into flames there. So thankfully everyone got out okay and had no major injuries, but certainly a scary incident, and one that will be looked at by not only the FAA but the NTSB to see if they can determine the cause of it. We'll likely get the results of those investigations after a couple months. They'll probably release a preliminary statement in about a month or 2, but judging off of other aircraft incidents that have occurred, and then it'll be almost sometimes a half a year to a year before we get the full report from the FAA and the NTSB. So a little bit of information for you there on the aircraft and the airport that was involved in today's incident. Reporting at Bristol Motor Speedway, I'm meteorologist Ricky Matthews. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Ricky, thank you for that. Yes, it was.